Finally, here we go. I got him. I got Aubrey Huff. Yay! We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but I think we've got it all set right now. So excellent. So Aubrey, I wanted to interview. I've been wanting to interview you for a long time. I came on your show. Didn't you have a radio show or something like that?
I had a podcast called Off the Cuff with Aubrey Huff, and we had done that for about 6 months, and I had you on. However, in the way the world works nowadays with, the MSA and my divorce decree and everything, when I had you on, my attorney had to listen to the episode to make sure it could clear to go on. And he was like, probably wouldn't be smart for you to do that. And so I couldn't air your episode because I think my ex would have had me sued.
Would have lost your mind. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good episode, though. I wish we could have used it.
That is something I wanted to talk about. But here's the thing. Okay. So I'm fairly certain that most of my audience really doesn't know who you are. I'm a small channel, really. I mean, I just hit 32,000 subs, but in the grand scheme of things, that's still pretty small. So, I've known you. How long have I known you? Gosh, at least over a year now, maybe even 2 years. When did we do that one?
I think I reached out to. I didn't reach out to you. Well, I did reach out to you initially. I think Twitter
and Rich too, and Rich Cooper
and Rich, right. And because I'd read your book, I was going through a divorce a couple of years ago, and at that time it was devastating. That was the last thing I wanted to do is get divorced. And so I was looking for anything to read to kind of get my mind right, to find myself again who I was before I was married. And I was researching all the books online. Yours popped up there. I read it and I'm like, ooh. I read the reviews and it was just, 5-star reviews across the board. I'm like, wow, this looks interesting. And by the first chapter, I was like, wow, this is amazing. It hits on a lot of things that I think most guys that are, as I look back in my life, it seems like when you have confidence, when you're able to be who you are and you become a man of value, you become, you work on yourself, you become successful, and then the women come to you, right? And after I got divorced, after my baseball career was over, I started doing the whole, I'm taking the kids to school every day. I'm retired. I'm picking them up. I'm doing the homework. I'm doing the dishes. I'm folding the laundry. I'm going to Whole Foods to pick up all the, food. I'm just doing all the bitch work basically, right? And I felt like I'd lost my balls. I call it I was a caged lion, right? But I was doing this honestly out of my heart because I thought that's what I should do to support her now. But in the process, I lost kind of my manhood and my dignity and my balls. And I think he felt that, and we kind of separated from there. And the roles got reversed, and I got confused, right? And so I think that's the biggest thing. When I read your book, I'm like, holy shit, it clicked. That's what happened to me.
Wow. Okay. So let's rewind just a little bit here. Cause I think a lot of people, like the people who aren't familiar with you, they don't know that you were the former first baseman for San Francisco Giants. Right. So, and what were the years that you were playing? You were in the major leagues?
I was there 2010 through 2012.
Okay. And then
major leagues, I was 13 years from 2000 to 2012.
Cool. And then I see in the background there, you've got your World Series trophy sitting in the back. There we go. So if people want to know who exactly you are, you played first base for them when you were playing in the series too, right? So
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I got some other questions for you about like sports and some other things too a little bit. This isn't a sports show. I'm wearing my San Francisco hat because I have been a San Francisco fan for a very long time. We finally got a decent team.
Now, hold on. Are you really been a San Francisco fan?
Yes. Hey, wait. I would show it to you. I won't show. I'll just show you the tip of it here. You can see the tip. That's my bank card. So just so you know, yes, I am.
6 months ago.
Where was I?
You got that card 6 months ago is what you did.
No. I've had this card since I had this card since I moved back from Orlando to Reno. And in Reno, that's the only really, the only close sports teams to Reno is either you're an Oakland Raiders fan or you're a San Francisco fan. I've always been a San Francisco fan. So So yeah, but and then of course, Oakland is moving down to Las Vegas. So finally, now I guess I have to be like a Raiders fan as well, because there's this only one we have in the state now.
Have you seen the stadium? It looks.
Yes, I saw it. I saw it a couple of weeks ago when I was in Vegas.
It's unbelievable. It looks like the Death Star.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. I don't know how they're going to finish it, because it's like, it didn't look very finished to me when I was driving by.
They'll figure it out. They'll figure it
out. Yeah. It's what's funny is, I was going to say is, and I haven't announced this to anybody, and this is still very much speculative, but it's a possibility I might be doing some work for the Raiders once they get into Vegas. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah. For what I do in my real life job, there's a possibility I might be doing some advertising, I might be doing some brand stuff for them. So we'll see how it goes. What's that?
Relationship advice for the athletes.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you know me as well as Tomasi. You don't know me as like what I do for what my real day job is. So.
No, I guess I don't.
Yeah. Anyway, so you got divorced. Now, let me ask you this: when you got divorced, now I know everybody on Twitter just wants to run you up the flagpole over this, and so I'll give you a chance to sort of speak your piece here. But did that happen after the series and we were done with?
Okay. No, I had. So in her defense, it was 2009. I got hooked on Adderall, and it was something it just turned me into Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And before that, I was I had some drinks and I would hang out and party with the guys, but I was always just a conservative Christian guy from Texas. I would never cheat on my wife, never do anything like that. And I was just kind of I was a fun guy. Loved to hang out and talk shit with the guys. Kind of a team leader in every team I played on. And then as I got older, I just, one day I walked into Baltimore, or I was in Chicago playing the White Sox, and I had a hangover for a 1 o'clock game. I'm just sitting there. I did not want to play. And I had a teammate come up to me and ask me if I ever tried Adderall. I'm like, no. He's like, just try this. Let's get you right for the day. I'm like, all right, why not? So I popped it, and within 20 minutes, it was like that scene in Bradley Cooper and in Limitless. The light turned on, and the world just made sense, right? I'm like, wow. And it was in that moment I knew I would never play the game without it. And the only problem was I could not, after the game, all I wanted to do was go party, which like clubs. And, I was just like a freaking animal. I could not stop drinking. I started smoking cigarettes, something I never did. And ended up going to bed at like 5 a.m. that night. Barely slept. The only way to do it, to get me going for the next game, was pop another one. It was just like a vicious cycle for 3 years. And in that time, for 3 years, the dose got higher, the high got higher, and my inhibitions when I'd go out just completely were gone. I was in Vegas in 2010 after we won the World Series. And I went for a card show. I got paid $25,000 to do an hour card show in Vegas at a Hooters conference, right? So I'm signing all these cards for all these guys. They're card collectors, and there's Hooters girls in their Hooters outfits, the whole deal. I'm high as a kite signing these things. I get it. I'm walking out of there to my limo to go back to my hotel in Vegas, and there's 3 Hooters girls sitting there outside talking. I walked right over, light up a cigarette. I'm like, hey girls, what you doing? You guys want to come back to Bellagio and hang out and party? Okay. So this is me, Gary, high as a kite, something I would have never done sober. I'm strolling through the Bellagio, 2010 World Series champion, like I'm being incognito, right? And end up making a bad decision that night. And so I get home to Tampa from Vegas, and my wife said, so, hey, she had a dirty martini in her hand when I walked in. She said, hey, how was Vegas? I'm like, oh, it was great. Did the card show, made 25 grand, did a little gambling, lost about 5 of it, just kind of. She goes, well, I'll give you one chance to tell me the truth. And if you tell me the truth, I may forgive you. And I'm like, oh, obviously every guy in the world knows this.
The talk. Yeah.
Right? Do I deny, right? Oh, nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. I had a great time. She goes, tell me about the fucking Hooters girls. And I'm like, right. And I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. And I was like, I deny. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. She goes, I know. Apparently, I guess somebody had let her know that I was rolling through the Bellagio
with two Hooters girls.
Hooters girls on my arms. I'm like, not very smart on my part. So anyway, she kicks me out of the house. We kind of take a break for a while. I ended up going to rehab. I told her, listen, I'm going to go to rehab in 2002. So I won the World Series, do that Vegas trip. I'm in rehab trying to save my marriage. And I went to rehab to save my marriage, not to really get off the drugs. And so when I got out of rehab, just started using it again in 2011. And it got so bad in 2011 that she was giving me random drug tests when I'd come home, piss and see if I'm clean. And I caught wind of this. And so I would have a buddy of mine who lived in San Francisco on the way home, piss in a water bottle for me right next door to my house, go right there. And always, every night this had to happen because you never know if she's going to test me.
She's going to lose it. Yeah.
That's how addicted I was to it. I'd go in there and empty a bottle of his piss in a cup in the bathroom, passed every time. And, you know, it got to the point in 2012. I retired after the World Series. And so that's when it started I thought for sure my marriage would get better. But it just got worse because I felt like I started losing my value, like I spoke about earlier. I did everything for her. I kind of quit working on me and just kind of just went into the regular world and just did everything I could to support her, you know, and I just kind of lost my value, my balls. And I think she felt that there's nothing sexy to a woman, a guy that doesn't have drive and ambition.
Right.
You know? And so I don't blame her. Once trust is gone, if I put the shoe on the other foot, if she had done that to me, I don't think I would have gave me 6 years or gave her, you know, so I commend her for that. But at the same time, it was a rough time. And, you know, we're in a great place now. Me and her have a great co-parenting relationship. We're friends, no hard feelings. And so we're doing good in that way.
And so as far as the addiction and everything else are you past that now, or is that something you're still with?
You know, addiction, you know, you go to, it's always in your head. I'm not, you know, I played with a guy named Josh Hamilton. I don't know if you know his story. He was a real big prospect coming up. I played with him in Tampa, and this guy was like a mama's boy from North Carolina, and didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't do anything. He was going to be the next like Mickey Mantle. And he ended up going and started getting tattoos, started doing like all kinds of cocaine and drugs, and just lost his career. And kind of made a small comeback there for a while, but you know, and I had talked to him about it when I was hooked on drugs, trying to get off of it, hooked on the Adderall. He's like, Huffy, listen, it's never going to be gone. It's always going to be a part in your mind. When you're having a down day, you'll always be thinking like, wow, an Adderall would be amazing right now, just to kind of get out of the down the dumps, right? And that's true. You know, there's days where I'm feeling great and I don't even think twice about it. But when you're having a down day, you know, somebody pisses you off or you just don't feel right and you're kind of depressed or bored, there's a lot of times in the back of my head, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to go score an Adderall. But you fight it, man. You just fight it because you know deep down what it does to you when you take it. Yeah, it's fun for about 5 or 6 hours while the high's there. But then when the next morning you wake up, your whole next day is ruined.
Yeah.
All you do is tired, you're depressed off your ass. And I know that. You just take it, then you have to take another one. Then you're in that addiction again. So and you know, I got 2 boys, they're 11 and 9, and they're my heart, man. They're everything. That's, to me, you know, I want them to grow up to be masculine, badass men in this world that we live in, when a society is desperately trying to take our manhood away from our kids. So you know, that's kind of my mission, and that's my passion, is my boys.
Yeah, that's kind of tough to talk about those kinds of things, like when it comes to addiction and when it comes to like, I mean, I don't think I don't really get into this too much in my own work, but like I think I probably should write some more about this. But like one of the things that I've always said is that the way that we look at vulnerability today in a guy, I think is really I think it's kind of a double-edged sword right now. First of all, I don't believe that vulnerability is a strength for a guy. Vulnerability by its very definition means that it's a weakness, right? It's something that's happened. But there is, so if you're approaching vulnerability from the respect that you think are going to appreciate you for you or love you more because you're more vulnerable, get that out of your fucking head right now. Yeah. But when you talk about this kind of stuff, and when you like, I mean, because like whenever you put this story out there, and I'm sure there's going to be people who are going to watch this video and they're going to go back on Twitter and they're going to go, oh, remember that time you were with those Hooters girls? Ha, ha, ha. I've already seen it. It's already, you can't, and this is one of my questions. I might as well just get to this right now. You're like one of the most hated dudes on Twitter right now. You cannot sneeze on Twitter without somebody going, yeah, well, remember when you were addicted to Adderall? Remember when you were an alcoholic? And that's what I mean.
Still popping, wife cheating, piece of shit. Listen, we all have demons, right? If you're going to feel by their past, I mean, you can open everybody's closet door, and there's all kinds of trash there. So I'm happy in the place I am now. And the ironic part is, doing all this Twitter shit that I've been doing, a lot of it in this society we live in, man, it's so uptight and so divisive, and I just try to poke fun at it. And there was I don't know if you saw this, but there happened to be a guy. His name was on Twitter. It was Tony Podnaski or something like that. I don't know. And this guy was he had like 250,000 followers. And I just done my kids and the gun range thing post.
Yeah, I remember. I was going to ask you about that too, but go ahead.
and he came, I mean, he started firing like just hateful rhetoric at me. I mean, awful shit. One of the worst that I read. And then he just continued to fire on me, everything I posted. And then I kind of looked him up on who is this guy? I got the guy was like, used to be 500 pounds or something, lost a ton of weight, and started drawing stick figure art, and people are selling or buying his stick figure art for like $25. All it is a little circle with an X. It looks like a stick figure, and like a little caption that says "Breathe, seize the day," or they'll have a little stick figure with Trump or something, and just making fun of conservatives like in a hateful way. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make a stick figure art thing here and do it on my own. So I do a little art. This is my where's it at? Optimus Prime I'm working on back there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so I did a stick figure. I can't remember what it was, but just it was me holding a rally thong up during the World Series parade in 2010. I looked like Walt from Breaking Bad. It didn't even look like me. Awful stick figure. I signed my name, 2010 World Series champion. I put it on eBay. I posted on Twitter, tagged that Tony guy. You have no idea how many messages since then have been coming through my private inbox, asking me to do custom stick figures. I've made, in this week alone, I've made $5,000 on custom stick figures.
Really?
Yeah. And that one I did to make fun of Tony with the rally thong went for $500 on eBay.
Wow.
Yeah,
now, is that because, and then of course you sign these, is that because they're trying to get an autograph or something from you?
Well, I think the big thing is more the autograph. It's not the stick figures, but the stick figure. So I'm doing a series now, and it kind of got me thinking. Right, I've been looking for. I love art. I've been thinking about a business plan of something to do besides, just coaching my kids every day, and have some kind of income stream. I don't need it, but I want to do something that's fun and passionate. And so I've been coming up with a series. I've been tweeting them the last few days to kind of get a reaction out of people on Twitter to see how they like them. I post them on eBay as well. It's called a day in the week of liberal Larry and conservative Carl. And so I do a little drawing of Larry and what he's going through the day, liberal Larry, and then conservative Carl, what he's going through his day. And I've got bids over $50 on all of them. It's been crazy. It's been fun.
So it's good that you can turn that around then, like sort of own that crap from these guys. Yeah. Cause I know that like in a lot of the stuff, like whenever you're talking about like something that's like feminism or whatever the latest, nonsense that's coming out from the all female controlled, DNC right now, you're almost always tagging me or Rich in it. And I'm like, oh man, here we go again. Because all you have to do is do one tweet about something. It could just be like this offhand tweet, and you've got like it's almost automatically a viral tweet.
Yeah. I'll stop tagging you if you're uncomfortable with it.
No, please do. That's fine. I like to see what you're doing. And I seen the stick figures, although I didn't know it was actually making you that kind of money for.
Oh yeah. I mean, my messages on my Twitter, like just for instance, right now I'll probably open up, have like 10, 15, right? Just asking, I'm charging 50 a stick figure. I'm thinking I might have to do 100. I'm getting flooded with these things. It's been unbelievable, which was interesting. It started out as a joke, right? Like, tell me, I don't take myself too seriously. When you play in a Major League Baseball clubhouse, you got to have thick skin, man. And you got to be able to take it. If you can dish it out, you got to be able to take it too. And you hear it from fans all the time. So you in the media. So you have to learn to have this kind of, brush it off your shoulders, sarcastic, kind of back into your face in a sarcastic, fun way, sense of humor. And hence why I did the Huff Daddy down here, right? People are going to see this. Oh my gosh, he just used Huff Daddy as his third person. And they're going to think I'm some kind of egotistical douchebag. I do that to be funny, because I don't give it.
Well, you know what triggers them. That's
I love it.
I'll tell you, it's something that's funny. And I've been talking to some of the guys on Rule Zero, but I would love to get you on Rule Zero too, by the way.
I don't know what that is.
Rule Zero is the live show that I do with Rich Cooper and Ryan Stone and sometimes Troy, and sometimes we have like guests and stuff on, and it'd be great to have you on just kind of shoot the shit with you.
Anytime, brother. Hey, Thor. That's my big dog, Thor. He's a Rhodesian Ridgeback. Hey, buddy. hey. Stop it.
I've got 2 greyhounds, and I had to shut them out of here today. So I was going to say, so anyways, as far as like sports is concerned, I get it. I like just me like wearing a San Francisco hat. There's sort of an element in the manosphere right now that will say that, sports is just a bunch of guys running around, after a ball or something like that. And it's a waste of time, or it's a waste of, whatever. And I've always said, if that's what you like to do, if that's your thing, if you want to get into it, it's okay to go lift, but it's not okay to go watch a football game. It's not okay to go, I mean, it's okay to play the game, but it's not okay to like actually watch the game or be interested in the game. And I think that's kind of sort of a paradox that's really going on in the manosphere. I don't know that would you consider yourself really part of the manosphere, or do you just sort of just like listen to what like Rich and I talk about?
No, you know what? I'm still kind of educating myself up on it, right? Because I feel like there's a lot of things that I lost, not only in myself after my marriage, but or not so much after, more during my marriage. And so reading your book was eye-opening, right? Listening to some of your stuff and, watching some of your Twitter. I love following your Rational Male tweets, just the quotes. And I mean, and every one of them, when I read them, I'm like, holy fucking shit, that was me, right? Like, golly, like stupid. And I got to tell you, man, since in the last 2 years, I've gone on, gosh, I mean, I'm not struggling for dates, right? And I go out on dates. I kind of I talk about, I'll set up the restaurant, I'll pick her up, I'll do all, I'll get it all rocking and rolling, what guys should do, get all right. And you won't believe the amount of girls goes, what turned me on more than anything after the day? She goes, you set all this up, but I didn't have to do nothing but show up and look pretty. I'm like, fuck yeah. A guy who needs to take control, right? I wasn't taking control of my marriage the last 6 years. The first 6 years of my marriage when I played, it's easy, man. I'm an alpha male wearing a baseball uniform, 40,000 people night screaming at me. The confidence is high. I walk in the door and she'd jump on me every night, right? It was, I'm bringing home $10 million a year, and you just have this unbreakable invincibility about you. And then that goes away, man. And you feel kind of unworthy. You don't have value or purpose because your identity was wrapped up around being a professional athlete all these years. Yeah. And my God, motherfucker, it's hard to replace that excitement and the travel and the brotherhood that you have in it in the real world. I'm going fast paced all the time for 13, 15 years. And then all of a sudden now I'm retired in San Diego, where everything closes at 9:00 at night on a weekend. Right. So here in northern San Diego.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. And I live in a place where, most people are retired and they're 60 plus years old here. So it's a rough place. Brother, hey.
Right. And Aubrey, how old are you right now?
I'm 43. I just turned 43. I look good for 43, don't I, Roland?
Yeah. Well, so you're like, but I mean, you're living the dream though, right? I mean, now I think what's interesting for guys that get into your situation right now, and a lot of, and I shouldn't just apply this to like athletes or celebrities or anything, but they'll get into a situation where they don't know what to do with themselves. Like you were just saying right now that you're getting into art and all that other stuff. The reason why I first asked you about like when your divorce took place is because a lot of guys will get into the situation where you're in right now. And once they're off the field, once the celebration isn't there, once the high of all of that, I mean, you have what's called pre-selection, like in a big, huge way, right? Because you're an athlete, you want a World Series, and then once you come off of that field, then it is really it's a test of the man, first of all, and then it's also a test of the relationship. Now, one of the things that I'm I'm just going to use Brett Favre as kind of an example here is I think that when he retired and then he didn't really retire and then he decided to get back into football again and start playing on different teams.
Yeah.
And that was when he sent the dick pics to the cheerleaders and all this other stuff. And I think really that was him sort of trying to deal. I think he wanted to get back on the field simply because his relationships and his sense of like self changed because his identity was really wrapped up in playing, being a Hall of Fame quarterback, really.
Well, one thing, and you got to think about Brett Favre's situation. He's 80 times more a celebrity than I was when I played.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's Brett Favre.
Yeah. That's at another level.
I've struggled like not playing and having that identity crisis. I can't imagine what it's like for guys like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about, look at Jason Witten. I said it this year. Jason Witten goes away from the Cowboys 2 years ago. I'm like, what a Hall of Fame career. Awesome. I'm going to go spend time with my family. He spent 1 year with his family. Back to football. It's like, he's like, fuck this, right? Mm-hmm. It's almost to a point. It's such an addicting high, professional sports, because you got people just love you. You walk into a room and it's instantly easy to feel like confident and valued, and you have this identity that everybody wants to be, every guy wants to be, and every girl wants to fuck you. That's pretty much what it is, right? It's not hard. When I was in Major League Baseball, even before the drugs, I never cheated before the drugs. And I never cheated after the drugs. But man, you could just tell by the way girls looked at me. I could have every night of the week, and it would have been even hard. But you talk about, it's funny now that you talk about dick pics with Brett Favre. Now that I'm in the dating scene, it's fucking crazy out there, man. I've been married for 11 years. 5 years I was with her before that. So they didn't have dating websites or Tinder and all this shit. So I've been out there dating, and the amount of girls, and I tracked a lot of 25 to 35-year-old women, right, on the younger side. And it'll be second date. Sometimes even the first one, I'll get full nudes sent my way. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not complaining, but instantly, if you're looking to get serious with somebody, that's a red flag right there. I'm out, right? I like a good nude, but not if you're going to be like looking to get into a relationship and have somebody there with you and take her seriously. And then they'll want me to send them a dick pic. I'm like, are you shitting me? I am not sending. I'm not famous by any means, but if I send a dick pic out there,
it'll be all over Twitter in half an hour.
Right. First of all, it don't fit on the phone that I use. It's too big. It'd be half. You can see half dick. Right.
Got it. Well, no, I was going to say, people are going to watch this and they're going to say, okay, because you're in a very unique position. Let's just say, because you're single right now, you still have at least some name recognition. You're all over Twitter right now. Wasn't Kathy Griffin like giving you grief? Like you have let's just say C-list celebrities at least. Maybe a few B-listers are like criticizing you. And what's interesting is like your account, you're only like at 39,000 followers or 40,000 followers or something like that, but you're getting like the attention of like C-list, like somebody like Kathy Griffin saying, oh, here's Aubrey Huff, popping off once again about, women or conservative politics or Trump or some other crap like that. Do you find that like, what I was going to say is like, when you are dating right now, people are going to watch this and they're going to say, well, he better be very careful of himself in the dating market, because people are gonna women are tech savvy, or women are gonna say, "Who send me a dick pic? I sent you nudes. Send me a dick pic." Well, if you do that, that's blackmail right there. That's instantly blackmail, because it's even Brett Favre did something like that. But are you like hyper aware of like the risks involved in a guy who is at least, somewhat high profile guy who's got some money, definitely has pre-selection, still has a certain amount of fame. Are you like hyper cautious of that now?
Absolutely not. And I've found that the women that I've gone out on dates with, and they have seen my tour, they follow, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're kind of edgy. You would think it would turn them off, but I think it turns them on, because they realize that here's a guy doesn't give a shit. He's going to say what's on his mind. He's going to be honest and upfront. And, you know, I don't hold back. And I feel like a lot of them that I do, I will say this. The one thing that has turned girls off when I've gone on dates is they'll research my past. They'll Google me. I'm an easy Google search.
Yeah, of course.
And you'll come up and you'll have my, you know, my book that I wrote and talking about all my drug addictions and the shit I did to my ex. And they'll be like, oh my gosh. And are you through all that? And it scares them off. It'll scare you off. But and then most of them are like, for the most part, most of them are like, oh, hey, we all have our past. Are you through it now? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So they're all cool with it. But you know, a lot of the people who watch my Twitter, and I won't go out with a liberal woman. It just, if I find out she's liberal, it's probably not going to happen because I mean, the way I tweet, it's going to piss her off. It's just right. So the conservative women, but I will say this: I live in Southern California, Rolo, and trying to find a really good, beautiful conservative woman in California is tough. I went out on a date last night with a girl who she's 40 years old, no kids. And we went out last night and beautiful blonde woman. And she's conservative. She's fun as shit. She was hilarious. And I was like, that might've been the first girl in a couple of years that I really vibed with. I don't know, man. She was really cool. And I wouldn't say she was conservative, but she had this edgy, witty humor about her that I really appreciate. And to be honest with you, I don't hate liberal people. I don't, you know, I just make fun of that's what this whole conservative Carl and liberal Larry comics is. It's just kind of making fun of the whole divisiveness we have in our society today. But yeah, my Twitter has hurt in some dating aspects, and a lot of people. I'll go to my kids' pickup at school and have some guys there. Dads will be like, and you can tell these guys are out. You know, they're beta as fuck, right? Most of them, you know, and they don't want any part of me. You can tell, but the moms are thirsty, dude. It's crazy, you know.
At that time, yeah.
As soon as I got divorced, man, some of the single moms there. And to be honest with you, I've had there's a couple married ones where like trying to hit me up on social media, private direct messages. I'm like, dude, what? So it's been interesting 2 years.
And this is probably a no-brainer here, but do you think that a lot of these women who are seeking you out are really doing it mostly because you have pre-selection and you have a lot of money right now, or do you think that they're like genuinely interested in you?
Well, I read a lot about what you write about, and I've come to believe that you talk about sexual market value, and I had a tweet that I think it was kind of around how you said. I think women's sexual market value you wrote is like 23 to 27 or something like that, right? And once they get around 30 plus, you know, then that starts going down, and men's go up, right? And, you know, I don't know, man. So what was the question again?
I was just wondering, like, how you take into consideration the fact that maybe one of the main reasons why women are attracted to you or are seeking you out is because of really what you are. Now, if you've read my work, you understand, like, when I talk about how women fall in love with what you are, what you can bring to the table, what you're about, rather than who you are. It's opportunistic. It's an opportunistic, and this is maybe this is something you experience firsthand. It's that women, their approach to love is via opportunism, and because that's the way human women have evolved. That's in their best interest. It's in their best interest because they're the weaker sex, and they need security, and they also need protection for themselves and for their offspring. Really kind of a no-brainer. For guys, we tend to approach love from an idealistic perspective. Like, love should matter for the sake of love, right? And I don't mean that in a sense that, like, guys think of it as unconditional love. I'm just saying that we want to believe what is possible. And that's just sort of a part of our nature. We're problem solvers. Men are natural, innate, deductive problem solvers. So when I talk about how women are like opportunistic, I don't mean that like, oh, they're evil. You know, they're trying to, take advantage of it. I don't mean that. I mean, like, they're opportunistic in the sense that they want what is best for their own survival and the best that's for the survival of their kids. So as a result of that, what that does is it predisposes women to fall in love or to allow themselves to have an emotional investment in a guy who is for what he is, what he represents. And that can be anything, right? That can be a lot of money. That can be he's really hot. That can be he has potential. That means he has creative intelligence. There's a lot of different ways to sort of dice that up. But what I'm saying is, like, because you're in this unique position, and I don't think I've ever asked anybody this before, is because you're in that unique position right now and you're single, and you have the background that you do you think that women are more like ready to forget, like, oh, I'll just forget all about that, you know, the Adderall thing and the addiction thing and the divorce thing and the Hooters girls thing, and I'll, you know, now that he's moved past that, do you think that they're more willing to believe that now? And do you think that they're more willing to sort of be they want to be a part of your life? Here's another good question, and just sort of a follow-up onto that is do you see these women like trying to move to like a long-term relationship with you like really quickly?
Oh my gosh, I've had red flags. By second date, I've had girls asking me, hey, I don't want to waste any time. Are you willing to give me kids one day? I'm like, holy shit. I mean, wow. Uh-huh. First of all, ladies out there, I have a vasectomy. Okay. If you're looking for, I got my 2 boys. I'm 43 years old. I have no interest in having any more kids. So if that's what they want, it's usually over. But I'm kind of glad they do let me know that, right, Elliot? So I don't waste my time either. But you know, you bring up a good point. You think about, you know, women being opportunistic, right? And you know, when you look around a mall, you see it all the time. You see this ugly, skinny, nerdy dude with the hottest girl walking down the mall, or some fat, overweight dude. You're like, what?
How to spot a rich guy?
You know, it's the rich guy syndrome. No, I'm not saying every woman's like that, but in the society we live in today, by and large, from what I've seen, you know, girls, there's probably, say, on about half the dates I've been on, there's been those red flags where, you know, it's like they know it's about the cha-ching and being taken care of. You just know it. I know it within 10 minutes of just sitting down having dinner. And but you know, I really do believe, like, I feel like if you make yourself successful, if you make yourself a guy that, you know, fuck the women. Right. And I tell guys this all the time. There's guys around here that, you know, we go out and they're having troubles in their marriages. And I'm like, listen, what are you doing at home? Well, you know, I'm helping the kids with the homework. I'm, you know, cooking dinner. Hold on. I did all that shit. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You got to be the guy, man. You got to work on yourself. You know what you do? Go get up at 5 a.m. You don't go to the gym, do you? No. Get up at 5 a.m. Start going to the gym. And she's going to be like, what the fuck is he doing? Getting ready to leave me? Well, I mean, and she's going to start panicking a little bit.
Imagination.
Right? Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, if you start doing things out of the ordinary and you start making yourself above what most other men are doing. So for me, that's why I said when I'm doing my Twitter, most girls, when they see the Twitter, like, oh my God, how do you tweet this? You're kind of an asshole. But these are the same girls that keep wanting to call me back to go out on dates. I mean, I won't call them though. Hey, when are we going out again? But they'd be the same ones that are like burying me on telling me about my Twitter. I should probably stop, but they can't stop asking me to go back out on dates. So I feel like it's almost like a little bit of the bad boy syndrome. They like that too. You know, girls don't like a sweetheart. They don't. I've seen that in my baseball career. Like I told you, when I played baseball, we are trained not to show any like weakness or emotion. You have this alpha male fucking mindset where you're just locked in, and, you know, all these guys, 240-pound men on the field doing battle every day. So it's easy to feel that confidence, that maleness, and the women feels that, man. And they just can't keep their hands off you. And then you kind of get out in the real world and, you know, you see it all over the place. Guys are just kind of ho-hum, you know, and it's just not sexy. It's just not sexy to them. And that's exactly what happened to me. I think again, one of the reasons I asked you whether or not you were divorced before or after you were done with your baseball career is I think that once that dies down, once that social proof and pre-selection, that constant pre-selection, you're actually a really good illustration of what I call competition anxiety or dread. But in your case, it's like part of your personality. It's part of who you are. So naturally, other women are going to want to be a part of your life. They're going to want to throw themselves at, and for lack of a better term, throw themselves at you. And so what that does is that it's nothing that you can't help, but
it's like third party dread, or it's like what I call passive dread. And so as long as you are that guy, right? As long as you are that MVP, as long as you are the guy that's on the field and you're playing there and you're part of this whole lifestyle, any woman that gets to be a part of that is going to have to deal with pre-selection. They're going to have to deal with you constantly getting social proof. And I think what most guys don't realize is like, when, you know, not everybody can be, you know, a Hall of Fame player. Not everybody can play in the major leagues, right? But when you are in, you know, sort of by order of degree or whatever the context that you put yourself in, if you're, I'm going to sound like Rich Cooper here in just a second, but if you are like striving for excellence, if you're trying to make yourself better, if you are your mental point of origin and you are making yourself your primary goal in life is you, and your wife or girlfriend, whoever, are a complement to your life, then that sort of creates this positive feedback loop until you're not part of that anymore.
Right.
And that's why I was going to say is like statistically, most professional athletes' divorces happen after they get off the field. And that's why I was asking that.
5 years within 5 years, a professional athlete leaves the game. Around 85% of them are divorced. It's absolutely. I think it points to either A, the man feeling like he's lost his value and purpose, and he just doesn't feel like a man. It kind of makes, or she was in it for the wrong reasons. I think a lot of times it's probably she was in it for the wrong reasons. But, you know, and you touch on a good point too. My boys, I teach, you know, I tell them every day, they're 11 and 9, and my 11-year-old man, he's getting girls already knocking down the door at him at school, right? And he's starting to get that girl crazy already. I'm like, listen, buddy, you have plenty of time for girls, right? You go out there, you work on you become what you need to be. And I'm telling you what, you go out there, you go get a great job, do what it is you love, become a success. Dude, trust me, you won't have to pick. They won't pick you, you'll pick them. And there'll be multiple. So I think what you said, I love how you say that the women wait at the finish line and fuck the winners, right? Yeah,
that's Rich. Yeah, but yeah.
That Rich, or you can't remember who said it. Oh yeah, I love that, man. That's absolutely true. When I was in high school, I was 6'4", 220, pretty decent athlete. I had a little bit of acne, but who didn't in high school, right? But I couldn't land a girl for my life because I was just so socially awkward and just really kind of desperate, begging girls to go on dates all the time, right? And I have a funny story. There was this high school cheerleader. I was just desperately, like, I loved her, beautiful woman. And I was sending her flowers to her house and all this stuff. And she actually called me and goes, "Hey, thank you so much for the flowers, but I don't like you in that way, blah, blah, blah." Like,
"Can we be friends?"
She goes, no bullshit. She goes, "I'm waiting for Troy Aikman." I'm like, "Oh." Right. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So ironically enough, about 6 years go by. I'm in Tampa Bay now. I'm in the big leagues, like second or third year in the big leagues. We're playing the Texas Rangers in Arlington because I went to high school in Texas. And I'm having dinner after the game with one of my good high school buddies. And we got to talking about this cheerleader. And he goes, "Oh, Aubrey, she just broke up with her boyfriend. She lives like 5 minutes down the road. You want to call her?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah." Right? So he calls her. Within 30 minutes, she was coming to the restaurant. She was there. And within that night, we were, I think it might have been my first or second year. We were making out, the whole deal. And, she wanted to go to my room, and I'm like, "Okay." So go to my room, and I'm like, so that was a perfect example of being a nobody, and then someone coming to something, and like, "Look at this guy." And she was still a drop dead knockout, right? And I didn't have a chance 5 years ago. Now all of a sudden I did. Come on. Yeah.
Right? What offset that? I've always said that, and I'm looking in the chat here, and guys are saying, well, game is important too. And yeah, you're right. Game is definitely important. You've got to have some sort of social intelligence. You have to understand. I think you need a basic requirement. I'm glad you're teaching your kids this too, but you need a basic requirement of understanding women's nature, just the base. I mean, you don't have to, write a book about it, but you got to know women's nature, and you got to be able to. I think most guys don't realize that they need to be able to protect themselves right now, especially now more than ever before.
I hate the word game. Listen, I think game is shit. You got to know how to talk, but like I picture game as guys using, "Oh, are you an angel that fell from heaven?" Like bullshit like that, right?
No.
So I mean, I'm that guy that if I see a girl I like, bar, wherever, I don't care if she's with her friends or whatever, I'll walk right over and just insert myself into that conversation. Hey, how you doing? And just kind of really direct it towards who I want to talk to without any fear, any hesitation. What's the fucking worst thing can happen?
Yeah.
Friends make fun of you. She laughs at you. Fuck, I'll go home, go to sleep. Hey, I tried. And I won't go to sleep thinking, man, I wonder what if. The other day, it was Christmas time. I'm walking around the mall looking for presents for my kids. I'm literally walking down. I happen to look to my right. There's this unbelievably beautiful blonde girl sitting there, just hanging out by herself, playing on her phone. She happens to look up, and she looks up, does a double take at me, and I double take back at her. And I was walking. I'm like, I'm not going to keep walking. Most guys would. Take a little beeline, go right back up to her. I stand right in front of her. Hey, how are you? I'm Aubrey. Nice to meet you. She's like, hey. And we just struck up a natural conversation.
Direct. Yeah.
No bullshit. I was on a date with her 3 days later. Right. And we've seen each other off and on here for the last, couple weeks, but it's really amazing how easy it is. I mean, I think if you just get over that fear of rejection.
Right. And that's actually like part of what old school pickup artistry used to teach is go out there, don't fear rejection, because that's what usually keeps guys from actually interacting. Now, for someone like you, someone like me, someone like, who has a maybe an innate confidence that comes from having been successful before, right? Here's the thing is I think you already know game. And I think you already do it. You just don't call it game. Like the fact that everything that you just said right now is technically it's your game. This is what I believe. I believe everybody has game to some degree. Okay. Even your 11-year-old son, he's got game, and he doesn't know that he doesn't call it that. Right. But everybody from really, I think it's getting younger and younger, but everyone from, let's just say 10 years old on up has some idea in their heads of how to go from being single or being without a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. And they have some idea of how they think is best to go from being single to being with somebody or to getting with somebody. And the problem is that for most guys, it's really rooted in this beta blue pill understanding of the sexes, or which of course is inspired by a lot of what our society is teaching young men about women, or how they should act or how they should behave. But what happens is then those guys, they don't really have much choice, because most of their education or their acculturation, their socialization is steeped in what I call the feminine imperative. It's this constant, if there's a definition of the blue pill, it's teaching guys to, instead of making themselves their mental point of origin, making women their mental point of origin, or girls, or mom, or their female teacher, or whatever. It's womankind, I guess. And so what happens is guys go, okay, well, if that's the environment that I'm working in, how do I adapt to that to make girls like me? Again, men are idealistic, and we're also deductive problem solvers. So what do? We say, okay, well, all these women are telling me that this is what they like the most, or this is what society says that women are about, or this is what's, what the last Disney movie taught me about, empowered, princess women. So how can I adjust what I believe to fit with what I think would solve my problem, which is I want to get a girlfriend. I want to, I want to get after it, whatever. And so
that's funny you say that. I get that all the time from people on Twitter. Like, oh my God, what, you're single? No wonder your wife left you. I'm like, they make it sound like being single is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Hey man, the best thing I did when I got divorced, I took 6 months to myself. I didn't drink. I got the gym, and I just worked on me, found me again. I didn't date nobody, didn't care. Did not give a shit about one woman, and I just got myself right. When I came out of that, oh my gosh, and I just found me again. It was so much easier. I think so many guys, they feel like they have to have a woman to be complete, right? you got to love yourself first as a man. You got to have confidence in yourself. And if you don't have that, you're worthless. Absolutely.
Right.
I tell my kids all the time, my 11-year-old now, like I told you, my 9-year-old's starting to get it. But my 11-year-old, the girls, it's crazy. I say, remember this, buddy. They're not the prize. You're the prize.
Yep.
Yeah,
and that's funny you should say that as well, because that is an old school pickup artist term, is that you have to teach these guys who don't have this confidence. When you think about the guys who get into pickup, or the guys who get into learning game, or whatever you want to call it. Now, just what I was saying before is everybody has game, but how effective that game is really what's in question, or how they learned, or how they came to the idea that this should be effective for them. And that's why you get these guys who are very awkward. They fear rejection. They create buffers for themselves. And so what they believe will get them from point A to point B is really what most guys are confused with. So like a guy like you, who has been, reasonably successful with women. You're an athlete. Definitely have social proof, definitely have pre-selection. So when you hear about a guy saying, well, I had to run game on this girl, or you don't have any game, this, whatever, it sounds kind of counterintuitive to you, because you're probably your whole life, you've been like, you were saying before, like it was before you became like widely known, or before you became who you are now, Aubrey Huff. Before you became Aubrey Huff, it was a little bit more difficult for you to sort of relate, but now something changes. And I know this because I did exactly the same thing. When I was in high school, I was very much blue pill, very much beta, very much tried to solve my sex problem, or my reproductive problem, by trying to be nice. Yeah. Trying to make her comfortable, trying to, because that's what women says. Well, I got to be comfortable to have sex with you. I've got to do all these things. And so what I did was I tried to do that. I got into my first relationship with a 17-year-old girl. I lost my virginity at 17, and a big nightmare scenario followed after that. And it was at that point that I said, screw it. All that stuff is bullshit. I'm going to do what I want to do. And then I got into the Hollywood metal scene back in the late 80s and the early 90s. And lo and behold, I was thinking about myself and doing what I wanted to do. And I was, passionate about what I wanted to do. And that's when women started to pay attention. That's when they started to, and so suddenly this sort of nerdy blue pill guy turns into this alpha who is, most of the notches on my notch count came between the ages of, say, like 18 and about 25, somewhere between there. And why is that? Because things had changed, and I figured out what worked for me. Because we didn't call it game. Maybe you're 43, so you know what it was like prior to the internet and all this other stuff. We didn't call it game, but guys have to figure out what works for them. They have to be congruent. So when I talk about game, I use it in the most loosest sense. I look at game as sort of like the practice of what the red pill teaches, right? The red pill's the theory, game is the practice. So when I say game, I'm not saying, oh yeah, go out there and throw these pickup lines at a girl. No, but I understand why those were necessary in the beginning, or back in the day, because you've got this generation after generation, and we're seeing it right now. We call them soy, right? We used to call these guys the soy boys and everything.
Oh, I get a lot of fire on Twitter for those guys.
Yeah, and so these guys want to know how to solve their reproductive problem, because what they've been taught isn't working for them. And you're right, they do fear rejection. They do fear coming across as too pushy, or too I don't know. Like they worry about getting, Me Too. Do they worry about all this stuff? And maybe rightly so. I get it. But this is a generation that grew up feminized. We call them pussified, whatever you want to call these guys. And I think right now, I was going to ask you this. This is one of the questions I had on my list here, is like, I know you have boys. What are you teaching them about like conventional masculinity today?
Well, so I think a lot of it starts at home, right? And that's why I'm really big on taking my kids to a gun range. We go camping. Mm-hmm. We do stuff that, 95% of the kids in this area where I live don't do. I grew up in Texas. That shit happened all the time with kids and their dads, right? Mm-hmm. And I also believe that the father, whether or not they're leaving or they're just getting ousted in the divorce process from their kids. And kids need their father to learn, especially boys, to be men. Women, as good as they try, will never teach a boy how to be a man. And so it starts at home. And for me, it starts with me, not my ex-wife. She's not going to teach my kids how to be men. She just doesn't understand how to do so. So when I'm here with them, we're doing baseball, we're doing sports, we're shooting guns, we're chopping wood outside.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting in trouble. We're getting dirty. We're having a good time. And, I'm teaching them about, they're 11 and 9, but I'm already kind of instilling those little nuggets about women and, growing up. And some people think it's a little young. I'm honest. I don't treat them like babies. I'm starting to treat them like they're, because the world's growing up fast for kids.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I want to make sure that they're in it now. And I tell them all the time. Then it starts at school. All right. School is getting indoctrinated so much by trying to teach our kids, especially boys, like you said, feminizing little boys. They're pumping these boys full of Ritalin and, all these things to keep them settled and listening, good little boys, when all they're doing is being rambunctious, and that's in their nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell my kids all the time, listen to your teachers when it comes to like actual lessons, math, history, homework, stuff like that. But don't fucking listen to their opinions, right? When it comes to, that's what's driving me nuts today, especially as you get up into the high school and college ranks. Mm-hmm. All these professors, it's a liberal indoctrination of our kids. And
mm-hmm.
and the way I look at it, if you're a liberal, you're pretty soft as a man. Mm-hmm. I think. I can spot it every time I drive down the highway here. I look to the left, it's a bumper sticker that says "Feel the burn."
Coexist.
Hybrid kid, I guarantee I drop by, it's a guy with a man bun. I'm like, mm-hmm. Shit, there it is. Every time it's like, oh my gosh, man, it just drives me nuts. And I don't want my kids to be that way, because I like you said, like you were a beta. I was a beta. Mm-hmm. I wasn't when I played. I was a beta when I was in high school. I was a mama's boy, lost my dad when I was 6 years old. Mm-hmm. He was murdered, and it was very hard for me. I was raised by my mom, and I had my sister there. Even my dogs were fucking female. So I was grew up around females, so I was very conditioned beta-wise, and I was very much a mama's boy. Went to college at Miami, and all these Miami guys were so confident, cocky, and I was like the biggest pussy there. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to come home within 2 weeks. I was so scared to be away from mom. And all of a sudden, a guy, my best buddy, Russ Jacobson, took me by the wing. He's my best boy this day at college. And he took me out one night, showed me the ropes. Kind of boom. And from that moment on, baseball was just easy. And because I started gaining confidence. I allowed these alpha guys to come around me and teach me the ropes. Like, holy shit, right? I was watching when I first got to Miami. All these guys are getting girls, and I can't score a girl at all. I started hanging out with them. Now I got a hot 6 foot Cuban girlfriend. I'm like, ooh, yeah, now we're talking. Mm-hmm. And then I go through baseball, and I took that mentality all the way through my big league career. If I didn't go to Miami to learn to have confidence and be a man, there's no fucking way I would ever been able to play Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. And then I got out of baseball, like I said earlier, and then I became beta as fuck.
Backslide.
For whatever reason. Mm-hmm. I went back into the real world. I want to do everything to help my wife to live her dreams now. I'm going to support her 100%. And for those 6 years, it was the worst 6 years of my life. I mean, I was married, but I felt no value. I was sleeping till noon because I was so depressed. I'd take my kids to school, come back and sleep, and then I'd go pick them up, and then I'd cook dinner and go shop. I'd do all this shit and laundry, and basically stuck in the house all day. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I was suicidal in 2014. I had a gun to my head. That's how bad it was. Mm. I was cooking one day, and when my ex was cooking, it was about 5 o'clock. My boys were 4 and 2 playing Legos in the living room. I live in this huge ass house, 10,000 square feet in the ranch, and here in San Diego, and 2 World Series rings, all the toys, beautiful wife, have everything a man's ever wanted. Retired at 39, 40, whatever I was at the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm chopping onions, chopping vegetables for the dinner, and all of a sudden, man, just random panic attack. I've been having these for a couple years since my retirement, and I was tired of it. Tired of popping the Xanax and all this just to mask the insecurities and this beta conditioning I had. I didn't feel like a man. Mm-hmm. So I had to numb myself, right? Drinking and pills and all this shit. Not Adderall, but Xanax. Just trying to come down from the years of doing all those Adderalls. And I just got tired. And I said, hey, Bobby, who's my ex-wife, I'm having a panic attack. She goes, again? I'm like, yeah. So I retreated in my closet, And I was done, man. I was done. I hit the code on my safe. I pulled out a 357 Magnum. I pressed it against my head. I had a wife beater on, shaved head, goatee, the whole deal, tatted up on the arms, tats on my chest. And I'm on my knees looking at my full-length mirror in my closet with this gun press. I pulled the hammer back, and I'm like, fuck it. I was tired. I was tired of struggling every day and being miserable and worthless. And it just dawned on me, like, oh my gosh, this 357 Magnum I'm holding, I'm looking at it. My dad was murdered by that same caliber weapon when I was 16. And I just dropped it down. I started fucking crying, and I knew something had to change. And so I started really working out a lot more, and I started eating better, eating right. Slowly but surely, I started getting better and better and better. But the trust issues from that moment on, after I cheated on her in Vegas, the stuff like that, she was never the same. She would stop pouncing on me. You know, there's no more holding hands, walking down the street. There's no more affection. We got to the point towards the end where I was having to beg for sex the last 2 years of our marriage. And when it got to that point, when you're having to beg for sex, and when you do get it, it's kind of, you know.
Yeah. And that's rough too, because you go from this really enthusiastic, like urgent, you know, urgent sex to like begging for sex. And I think and at that point you sort of like, I know a lot of guys that now your example is much more intense than a lot of what I talk when I talk to guys, but they have a very similar story. In fact, I've got a similar story as well. Is what happens is they'll be what made them Superman, what made them you know, special, what made them attractive to that woman in the first place. They end up getting comfortable. They end up thinking they ease up on their focus. They ease up on what it was that you know, a lot of guys don't even realize that they that what it was that they're doing or what they were passionate about was what attracted that woman in the first place, and that it contributed to what they had. So what do guys tell me? Like most of the guys that I talk to who are actually your age will say, I'm in a sexless marriage. How do I get my wife back? They don't want to divorce her. They don't want to cheat on her. They want to find some way to get back to where they were before. And or hopefully like maybe get better than what they were, you know, used to in the first place. But that's what guys do. And I did the same thing, because when I met my BPD girlfriend, I was on top of the world, man. I had everything. I was getting laid on a regular basis. I was in some very, very popular bands at the time, and I had a lot of social proof. I had all of these things that contributed to having a very hot girlfriend. And then systematically, little by little, you ease up on your focus and you start to put that focus on the chick. Or you put it on something else, or you backslide. And what, maybe this is you, maybe it's not. So you can answer this for me. But like what happened with me is I'd gone from being this really kind of blue pill, you know, kid in high school to being more or less alpha for, I would say, the years between like 18 and about 25 for myself. And that was when everything sort of went to hell. And I started becoming way more beta and way more, you know, probably if there's a station lower than beta, like Omega or whatever, you know, Vox wants to call it, that was where I was headed at that point. And I didn't realize it. And the reason for that, and now I know this, now I can look back on history here, is that I never killed off that old way of thinking about women, or like that idealization. I was still very blue pill, but I was getting laid. I was having, you know, women I would have women come in and want to have sex with me in my little studio apartment in North Hollywood. And because I was what they wanted to have sex with, because that's what I was doing. That was the character that they wanted to be associated with and wanted to have sex with. But then once I wasn't that anymore, once I had said, you know what, I need to make her happy. I need to do this. I need to put all my focus that was on me and all the things that I wanted to do, and I need to put it in this woman, because that's what I've been taught since I was 5 years old by all of my female teachers, that this is what you're supposed to do as a guy. You're supposed to, you know, take care of business. And you're supposed to make, you know, if she's unhappy, you got to make her happy.
Right.
And so that what ended up being my focus. And that is exactly what led to my own downfall, probably led to your downfall, and has led to the downfall of so many guys that I have dealt with. And one of the reasons I wrote the book in the first place is because if you get to a point where you lose it all, you really lose it all. And you didn't kill yourself. I'm glad you didn't get zeroed out to that point. But people will ask me this, and and this is a really good question for you too, since you're telling me all this stuff, is when a guy like Anthony Bourdain kills himself because of Asia Argento, right? Because not because she actually put the gun to his head, but because of her actions were the catalyst for him to want to commit suicide. That's on the guy. Yes. Okay. 100% responsibility. But you have to understand all of the things that lead to that point. How did he get to the point where he hung himself? How did he get there? And why was that one action of the girl that he was with, why was that the catalyst? And people will say, well, how could a guy who is, you know, by all, you know, appearances, was very alpha. He had his own TV show. He had a lot of money. Same thing with you. Sports star, has a lot of money. You know, has a hot wife, has some kids, is living the dream, just like you were saying. But yet at some point he gets zeroed out to the point where you're ready to kill yourself. Same thing with Anthony Bourdain. Now, I'm glad you didn't. Thank you for not doing that. But I don't think a lot of people really understand that just because, you know, just because you might even be alpha, you might even be famous, you might even have a lot of money, that doesn't make you immune from being zeroed out because of the way that you are raised, acculturated, socialized, whatever, to deal with women, to understand women's nature, to put it upon yourself. That's why I said you were backsliding, right? You were alpha, and suddenly that alpha, that all of that, what made you who you are is gone, and then now you're being zeroed out. Same thing happens with a lot of sports stars.
I don't care how pissed off you make your girl, your wife, or whatever. I don't give a shit how mad she gets at you. If you're being yourself and you love who you are, she doesn't care. She's still going to come back. It's going to make her even hotter for you. And I love how you call it. I think it's either you or Rich call it the shit test. And so how far can they try and change you? Are you going to follow their orders, right? I don't know what it is. They want to know that a man can take charge, right? And what I hate about relationships, and I see it in marriages that happen, you know, a little bit in my marriages. When you get married, these women marry you for who you are. They fell in love with this guy that you are. And then maybe a year goes by, it's all good. And then all of a sudden something starts changing. They're trying to change you to make you do things you don't normally want to do, or make you wait longer for them to get ready, like for an extra hour. When we have a dinner date at 7, you're getting ready till 8. You know, so you're just, these little things start piling up, and you start feeling like you lose control, right? And you don't, a lot more control is going her way. And I feel like there's I love reading that part about the shit test, right? They give you these little tests. Are you going to fail them or not? You know, they'll say like, hey, let's go to this restaurant tonight, right? I really want to go to this restaurant. When she knows you want to go somewhere else, fuck that. You go where you want to go, right? She'll figure
a plan.
Right. Have a plan, and then, you know, and ultimately she may not be happy, but she'll respect the fuck out of you that you're making the decisions. And I think so many guys, and unfortunately, I don't think it's so much the guy's fault as it is society, what it's teaching guys. And it's the whole feminine imperative. Absolutely.
Let me ask you this. Obviously you've identified the idea of what a shit test really is. Did you get more shit tests after you retired from baseball than you got while you were playing?
I never got a shit test in baseball. Ever. It was just like, you know, it was very rare that we would fight, and until I started doing the Adderall. Yeah, then I kind of went off the deep ends there a little, and did some crazy shit. So obviously a little bit, but before the Adderall, absolutely not. She couldn't wait for me to come home, and it was just like we couldn't keep our hands off each other. And then after I retired, I was in such a fucked up, dark place, and there really wasn't too many shit tests because I was basically just being a house bitch. There wasn't anything she could have said to make me do more. I was doing pretty much everything that she wanted. I mean, I was the perfect house bitch, right? So I basically failed all those shit tests, basically, right? I went from doing Major League Baseball to doing housework all day long, every day. Barely left the house except to go get my kids, pick them up, and, you know, take them to their, you know, coach their sports teams. But yeah, I feel like after I retired, the biggest mistake I made was to fully support her 100% and not support myself at all. I didn't support me at all. I completely, you know what? I had my time. I was so blessed. I had my time. I'm 38 years old. I'm good. I'll just sell off in the sunset, do nothing. And honey, it's your turn to go get successful. And I'm going to sit here and raise the kids, and you go do you. And that fucked me bad. And so I think it wasn't so much her shit testing me. It was me making that decision. And reading your books, looking back at it, having that 6 months, like I said, after I got divorced, having that 6 months to look back at it, I came to that realization that I allowed myself to become bait. I allowed myself to be the house bitch. It had nothing to do with what she did, but I guarantee you, and she won't admit it, because we have a good relationship. She won't admit it, but I guarantee you, me doing all the housework and basically being a stay-at-home dad and basically a maid, that's not hot to any woman.
No.
I don't care how much money you've made. I don't care how jacked and good looking you are. That is not hot. Not at all.
Well, and especially going from that old way of life to this way of life. So she knows, like, her mental image of you, like her mental association, what I should say, the guy who her ego was invested in, the guy who her ego was associated with, she knows what that guy was. And now this is what the guy is. And he eased up on his focus. He's eased up on, really. Let me ask you this before I ask you this other question. Did you, before you read my book, and before, like, let's say when you were in this relationship, and you said when you were 38 years old, you decided, like, oh, it's your time. We're going to focus on you, kind of thing. Did you believe that, did you believe in an equal partnership between a guy and a woman? Did you believe in the egalitarian fantasy?
I no.
No. Okay.
No.
So you had an idea that you should have been the head of the household. I mean, I presume you're at least somewhat religious too. So, like, you probably had some sort of idea about.
I'm a Christian myself, but the way I looked at it as an athlete, let's just be honest. If it wasn't for me, I don't know if she could have made it through the world. Most women, if you're professional athletes, they pluck their wives out of a restaurant or a bar or something, or she might have done something with her life prior, if she didn't marry me, I don't know. But the fact that remains is we were married for 11 years, and I made millions and millions of dollars. She afforded that life. She never had to work again. Right. So, and the way, being equal, I wouldn't say that, because I was the one out there grinding every day, taking the stress, the lumps, and the media, and the bullshit. She raised the kids. That's great. And I can understand, that's a really good thing to have one parent at home always raising their kids. I believe in that. But, I just feel like if you're the guy, or if you're the woman making all the money, this society's fucked up. And the fact that, God forbid, you get divorced, and whoever was out there grinding all the time gets half the money. I mean, it's fucked up. Now, I was lucky enough to have a prenuptial agreement. So, yeah. So I was one of those.
Did that work for you? Because I've heard a lot of mixed messages about that. A lot of guys say it's useless, and some guys say it isn't.
It was really fucked up for me. There's a lot of fighting over it with the lawyers. God, I hate fucking lawyers. There's a special place in hell.
I bet.
But so we signed our prenup in Florida, and now we live in California. So is that all that bullshit is this legitimate since we signed it in Florida? But it's a prenup. So we had to come to a little bit of a compromise there, but not much. I came out pretty good as far as that goes. When most athletes lose half, I didn't do that. And then, I have no problem with the child support, right? They're my children, but the alimony thing is fucking ridiculous, man. I don't care if you're a guy getting it from the woman, or by and large, mostly 95% of the time, it's the guy taking care of the woman. The amount of money they get monthly. So you're married to the guy all these years, taken care of, never had to work in your life. And now you divorce him, and you still don't ever have to work the rest of your life, because he's still taking care of you. Not only is he taking care of you, you don't even get to bang her. So oh man, that's criminal to me. It's a criminal system. I don't know.
Now, how long were you married?
I was married 11 years. 11.
Okay. So you're over the 10-year mark. Yep. So the alimony is the alimony, because I know you're in the state of California, so that means for life, right?
No. It was, for me, it was 8 years.
For 8 years. Okay.
But I have a cohabitation thing in there. She moves in with somebody, then the cohabitation kicks in, takes a little bit off. But yeah, it makes it hard to really truly be tight when you get divorced with your ex, right? Like I said, we have a great relationship. We have a great relationship, working with our kids and stuff like that. We sit with each other at our basketball games and whatever, still have friendly conversations. But I feel like if society got rid of all the bullshit hassle after divorce with all the money and bullshit and lawyers, it could be a lot better. There'd be a lot easier transition out of divorce. And I also think divorce wouldn't be such a big deal as it is today if it hasn't become such a business.
Right.
It's a business. Women nowadays get married because they know that, man, if we marry a rich guy, I don't ever have to work again. And it's literally become a business. And if you get rid of some of these ridiculous, take half of the guy's money and get the ridiculous amount of alimony, then most of these marriages are going to last longer, because these girls are like, hey, you know what? I'm not taking this minor bullshit this guy gives me every day that can't work through. I'm just going to leave and take half, and I'll be set and start over.
Oh yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
The richest woman in the world, Mackenzie Bezos. Yeah. Well, how? Because it's funny, because like so many people were saying, I remember when that story was coming out, and you want to talk about another very rich, very famous, one of the richest men in the world, still subject to his blue pill conditioning. Still, he doesn't go and live like Dan Bilzerian. People give me grief for saying that wrong. He could go and live like that, but he chose to get with a 49, like a woman who, like, people ever go, what is he doing here? But the story that's really behind that is that divorce is the number one way that women make money in this life. And whether they marry a millionaire or a sports star or whatever, that is the number one way that women go from one socioeconomic status up to another one. And they don't, and they just, especially the mainstream media just does not want to address that. And that's why they threw everything they could at the Bezos divorce, because they didn't want people to say, oh, look, she's the richest woman in the world because of divorce right now. But yeah, have you seen, there's a really great documentary, and it's called Divorce Incorporated.
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay, go look it up. It's fantastic. Dr. Drew from like Loveline and Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew, that guy, the Dr. Drew in there, he was the one who like sponsored that thing and did the research and the documentary of it. And was really, and he narrates it too. Really fascinating expose, I think, on the divorce industry. Exactly what you were just saying here. I think that one of the reasons why we see divorce, actually divorce is kind of leveling off right now. But one of the reasons I think that it's leveling off because fewer and fewer people are actually getting married in the first place. So right. Divorce rates are, come down with the marriage rate comes down because there's less people who are actually married. I think that one of the things that we're going to see probably in the next coming decade is you're going to see sexual harassment and a redefinition of what constitutes rape is going to be the next grift. It's going to be how, whether or not, like, say if you're a woman and you're in a relationship and you get married and you have sex with your husband and you weren't enthusiastic about it, does that count as rape? Because if it does, guess what? Now your husband is on the hook for marital rape, and you can take him for a whole lot more money. All this is going to do is have an even more cooling effect on people getting married in the first place. So what I think is happening right now, one of the reasons that you see the Me Too thing going on, or you see this intensification of sexual harassment in the workplace, is because that is seen as sort of a divorce light. A woman can make money off of a Me Too accusation and settle that out of court to make a quick buck, when she can't get married and divorce a guy to make money in that sense. But I see what you're saying. I'm not saying that everybody does that, or that's like divorce is a cottage industry, but you're right in the terms of, like, if you watch that documentary, Divorce Incorporated, you're 100% right, because those laws will never change because there's too many people making too much money off of it before marriage, during marriage, and after marriage. There's industries that surround all that.
Talk about the rape thing and how the Me Too movement, all that stuff. I posted this on Twitter the other day, and I found this absolutely appalling, right? I think Rich Cooper tweeted this out, and I retweeted, and it's this right here. How did I do that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Look now, look at that picture. Look how
that's an old poster. I think that's like probably from like 2015. I think is when I saw it.
Guy looked like such a creep right there. Like, I'm gonna get it right. And look, he's having a good time. Makes the guy look so bad. And there's a war out there. It's just you just see it. My eyes are open. Men are getting fucking hammered in the justice system through divorce, through all this shit. You know, and the worst part is the child custody situations. Fuck the money. If I had to give my ex like almost all my money, at least I get to see my kids. That's the point I'd rather do. You know, and a lot of guys are losing custody of their kids for no reason whatsoever, no wrongs that they've done. Just they didn't work out, and women are getting 75% custody, sometimes full custody. And why? Most of these guys are good fathers, right? And I believe that's what society is. It's trying to take away the male masculinity presence in kids to grow these boys up to be beta male, so they're easily controlled to be able to do what the government and everything wants to happen.
Sedated. Yeah, they want sedated. Sedated generation of men.
Guns, and you're going to be so soft. You're not going to do nothing about it. You're going to agree. You're going to be feminized, and you're going to make sure that women take over the world. I have no problem, absolutely no problem with a woman being successful, but don't cut a man's balls off doing so. Let them be successful too. I
think you're where I'm at with regard to that, because people always say like I'll talk to these guys, like I'll talk to like MGTOWs, like men going their own way, and they'll say, well, we need to repeal the 19th, we need to take away women's rights, and I'm like, okay, great, how are we going to do that? Tell me how that works. But that, you know, we're big on ideas and short on, like, you know, implementation. How are we going to do these kinds of things? And I've always said this is like, look, I don't care if a woman wants to go, you know, work in the corporate world. She wants to go make her own decisions. She wants to be a scientist. She wants to be whatever. You know what? Great. Please do. I hope you do that. But what the problem that I have is when men are responsible or made responsible for the consequences of women's decisions, right? For the consequences of those actions. So when women say, well, I focused on my career and I had to freeze my eggs because I couldn't, you know, I was focusing on my career and I couldn't have children. And now that I'm 38 years old, I'm looking for a guy to have children with and I can't find any of them. Why? Oh, woe is me. How come I can't find a husband at this age? And the fact of the matter is there are consequences to the decisions that you've made. So rather than accepting those and dealing with those, they say, oh, men are just these infantile sons of bitches, and they don't want to play along, and they don't want to cooperate, or they're threatened by a strong, independent, you know, professional woman. It's like, no, they just are not attracted to you. That was a result of the decision that you made, and now you're trying to blame the results and the consequences of that decision on men. You know, so go ahead, be the CEO of whatever company you want to do, create a custom cupcake business. I don't care what the fuck you want to do. Okay. But don't come to me and say, well, it's because of men. It's because of men that I'm not successful. It's because of men I'm living the life that I'm at. It's because of the men that now that I'm 40 years old, I'm unhappy and I'm childless and unhappy and I'm crying in my car. Like, no. You made those decisions, and you know what? It was up to you to understand what the consequences of your actions were going to be. That's where I draw the line, because as it stands right now, we are 100% responsible and 0% authority right now.
You know, and I'm under. You look around at all this personal development industry, right? The Tony Robbins, all the bullshit that's feeding everybody. You can live your
success porn.
Women get out there. You can live your dreams and do everything you want. And in the meantime, so okay, great. These women start to, even men, get into too much of the personal development industry, and if a guy isn't treating you the way you should feel, then leave him. There's something better out there. You deserve the best.
Eat, pray, love.
Marriage is going to be work. Relationships are work. There's always going to be a reason to leave, but you either love somebody and fight through it, or you listen to this bullshit. Oh, there's somebody better. And they go off and try and find it. And guess what? It usually isn't out there, right? And I got to tell you, man, I've been out there, and it's a fun single life. I'm having a blast, but it is also very time consuming. Like, I find myself doing like 2 or 3 dates a week, you know, and it's like, you know, at some point I've been doing this for the last 2 years, a year and a half. And I got to be honest, I'm 43 years old. And I do believe in having somebody that you really love being with every day. And at my age at 43, I've done the young thing for the last year and a half. It's fun, it's exciting, but you want to spend time with somebody that's on your level, that you really want to vibe with, that you want to travel with, and you want to wake up next to her the next morning in bed and not want to kick her the fuck out, right? That's the kind of woman you want to hang out with. And, you know, I just feel like the personal development industry has really suckered a lot of people into making you know, relationships seem like it should be perfect. It's not. It's not. It's work. And, you know, I think a lot of people, when they start hearing this, they buy into the bullshit and are unwilling to work and like, hey, I'm gonna go try it out.
Yeah, that's one of the terms that my friend Dalrock uses. Is he calls that the divorce porn industry. You get movies like Eat, Pray, Love, or you get these fantasy stories that we sell to women at an age where they've made their decision to marry that beta guy after having their fun in their, you know, in their college years and their, what I call their party year. I don't know if you've read my second book, but in the between the ages of say like 18 and about 26 or 27, that's where I peg women as their party years. And then after that, they go through what I call the Epiphany Phase, and they look for the guy who's the good, safe bet. And he's not as exciting as all the fun guys that they had sex with when they were in their party years. But now they marry that guy. And then what happens is they get into be about 30, mid 30s to late 30s. And that's when they start wondering, is he really the best I can do? That's when the shit tests come, right? Is he really the best that I can do? Boy, I got to get rid of this guy before I hit 40 and I'm completely unattractive for whatever reason. You know, 38, 39 is like the limit for them. And that's when you see, that's when you see movies. That's when you see movies, and that's when you see stories and this fantasy that is sold to women that is exactly like the Eat, Pray, Love narrative, which is leave your husband, things are better, out, you can go to Jamaica and find your sexy hot lover that you were supposed to be. Your soulmate is actually out there. He's not your soulmate. Some other guy that's out there that you deserve, and you deserve the best. And I see this played out not just in just mainstream, you know, society. I see this across cultures, and I also see this in religion too. I think that there are a lot of evangelical Christians are being sold, evangelical Christian women are being sold on the idea that you have to just hold out for the perfect guy that is, you know, out there somewhere. It's like selling the soulmate myth to women. Yeah. And saying, you know, don't worry about it. You know, God's got one perfect dude that's out there, and suddenly they find themselves when they're 55 years old and they're postmenopausal, and they, you know, I'm still waiting. You know, it's going to come sooner or later. And really, what that is it's an extension of the divorce porn industry. So, anyways, we are at an hour and a half right now, and I know you had to go pick up your kids. Sure. So I'm going to let you go here. But anyways, this has been really good. This has been a fantastic interview, actually. I want to put you in touch with Rich Cooper, because I think you and he would really have a good show as well, and or bring you on Rule Zero, where we can sort of talk to you if we're talking about like a particular topic, like you're in the dating market right now, as you know who you are. You're also one of the prime demographic of guys that I talk to who are sort of reinserting themselves back into the sexual marketplace after divorce. Right. And I got 1,000 more questions I want to ask you, but maybe we'll save that for another show. So anyways, is there anything you're doing, anything you want to plug right now before we break here?
No, you know, I've been doing my custom stick figure art. It's been crazy.
I got to get one. You got to send me one.
Honestly, I started doing them probably 2 weeks ago. Joke. And I get about, 20, 30 requests a day. I've made about $5,000 in a week drawing like probably 35, 40 stick figures custom. People are paying $50, $100 for these customs. It literally takes me 10 minutes to make one.
And you're just selling them on eBay? Is that how it works?
Yeah, it's eBay. It's on eBay. I put them on Twitter. They go to eBay. They bid on them. It's been really insane.
That's fascinating. Yeah. All right, man. Well, it's been really good talking to you, Aubrey. I definitely want to have you on again and just kind of shoot the breeze with you when I got more time too. So, but thanks for coming on, guys. Here's if you watch this whole show, I'm going to make this announcement. The announcement is tomorrow I'm going to have Tristan Tate on as my guest. He is the brother of Andrew Cobra Tate, as pretty much most of my viewers know who he is. So I'm going to be talking to Tristan tomorrow. That will be at noon Pacific time, so it'll be 3 o'clock Eastern time. So watch for that. Also, I will not be on the Pat Campbell show on Friday. I'll explain why that's the case, but just some issues, things that are going on. So I won't be on that, but I will be on Rule Zero on Saturday, and I will also see you guys on my regular Sunday show. So, guys, thanks for this. Aubrey, man, this has been fantastic, man. Thank you for coming on, man. All right, guys. All right, see you later.